All right, let's be real for a second. Dating is like walking through a jungle. You never really know what's lurking behind the next corner. Maybe it's a beautiful oasis of mutual respect and shared Netflix passwords. Or maybe it's a toxic quicksand pit of ghosting and passive-aggressive text messages. And that's why we're here today, to talk about dating red flags. The little signs, the tiny warning bells, the gut feelings that whisper, oh, something's off. Because let's be honest, we've all ignored them at some point. Maybe it was because they were ridiculously attractive, or they had a cute dog, or they made you laugh so hard that you forgot your own name. And suddenly, 6 months in, you're knee-deep in drama, wondering how you got there. So how do you avoid the heartbreak, the confusion, the what was I thinking moments? The answer? You learn to recognize red flags early, before your heart is too invested and your brain is running on hope and denial. First, let's talk about the too good, too fast phenomenon. You've met someone new and they're saying all the right things. Compliments, nonstop. Future plans together, already talking about vacations. Love? Declared way too soon. This is called love bombing. And while it might feel flattering at first, it's actually one of the biggest red flags. Because real relationships take time. They grow naturally. But love bombing is different. It's intense, overwhelming, and designed to get you hooked. It's like emotional fast food. Super satisfying at first, but ultimately leaves you feeling empty. If someone is coming on way too strong, way too soon, take a step back and ask yourself, is this real, or am I just caught up in the rush? Next, we need to talk about how they treat others. It's easy to focus on how someone treats you because, well, that's what matters in the moment. But here's the trick. Watch how they treat people they don't have to impress. Waiters, customer service reps, even their own family. Are they rude? Short-tempered? Dismissive? Because if someone disrespects others, trust me, it's only a matter of time before that behavior turns toward you. Another big red flag? Inconsistency. They tell you they're serious about relationships, but they disappear for days without a word. They claim they're big on honesty, but you catch them in little lies about their job, their weekend plans, their past relationships. Here's the deal. Inconsistency isn't just about flakiness. It's about trust. If someone can't be consistent in the small things, they definitely won't be in the big things. And let's not forget the crazy ex talk. If your date spends a suspicious amount of time talking about how every single one of their exes was a toxic nightmare, run. Because either they have a history of dating truly horrible people, which says a lot about their judgment, or, and this is more likely, they're the common denominator in all those failed relationships. You don't want to be the next crazy ex they complain about. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what do I actually do when I notice these red flags? Well, here's the secret. You don't have to wait for proof that someone is bad news. Trust your gut. If something feels off, if a pattern starts forming, don't explain it away. Acknowledge it, address it, and if needed, walk away. Because at the end of the day, relationships shouldn't feel like detective work. You shouldn't have to constantly analyze, decode, or second-guess someone's behavior. The right relationship will feel clear, consistent, and safe. So do yourself a favor. Listen to the red flags before they turn into full-blown alarms. So, we've already covered some of the biggest red flags you need to watch out for in dating. But now, let's go deeper, because spotting them is one thing, but knowing what to do next is just as important. First, let's talk about trusting your gut. Have you ever had that weird feeling in your stomach when something just felt off? Maybe they're saying all the right things, but something about their actions doesn't match up. That feeling is your intuition waving a big invisible red flag. And let me tell you something. Your intuition is rarely wrong. Think about it like this. If your best friend came to you and said, "Hey, I'm dating someone who constantly cancels plans last minute and makes me feel bad when I bring it up," you tell them to run, right? So why do we hesitate when it's happening to us? Sometimes we're so caught up in wanting things to work that we ignore the signs that something isn't right. So next time your gut tells you something is off, listen to it. Now let's get into setting boundaries, because boundaries are everything in a healthy relationship. A red flag doesn't always mean you need to end things immediately, but it does mean you need to communicate and observe how the other person reacts. For example, let's say you tell your date, "I really don't like when people joke about my insecurities." If they laugh it off or do it again, that's not a mistake, it's a pattern. People who respect you will also respect your boundaries. But people who push them? Speaking of respect, let's talk about how they handle conflict. Every relationship is going to have disagreements, but the way someone argues tells you everything about their character. Do they shut down and refuse to communicate? Do they gaslight you into thinking you're overreacting? Do they throw insults instead of trying to resolve the issue? A person who values you will course or work through issues with you, not against you. They'll listen, communicate, and try to find solutions. But someone who constantly blames you, refuses to take responsibility, or makes you feel guilty for having feelings, that's a one-way ticket to a toxic relationship. And here's a really important one: consistency. A lot of people get caught up in what I like to call the highlight reel trap. This happens when someone does just enough good things to keep you hooked, even if the bad outweighs the good. Maybe they disappear for days but then come back with sweet messages. Maybe they treat you poorly most of the time, but occasionally do something really nice to keep you around. The thing is, true character isn't measured in bright or grand gestures. It's measured in everyday actions. If someone is inconsistent, it means they're not actually invested. Pay attention to what they do, consistently, because that's who they really are. So, what do you do when you spot these red flags? Here's the most important thing to remember. You are not responsible for fixing someone else. It's not your job to change them, to teach them how to treat you better, or to wait for them to improve. Your only job is to protect your peace and make decisions that are best for you. If someone is showing you repeated red flags, don't try to explain them away. Don't cling to their potential. Instead, ask yourself, if nothing changed, would I be happy in this relationship? If the answer is no, then you already know what you need to do. At the end of the day, dating should be fun, exciting, and full of mutual respect. You shouldn't have to analyze every text, walk on eggshells, or feel anxious about whether or not they actually care. So, let's wrap this up with a reminder. Love should feel good. If it doesn't, if you feel more drained than happy, if you find yourself constantly questioning their behavior, it's okay to walk away. The right person won't make you feel confused. They'll make you feel safe, and that's what you deserve. So, here's your challenge. Next time you notice a red flag, don't ignore it. Don't brush it off or make excuses. Instead, acknowledge it. Ask yourself, if nothing changed, would I still want to be in this relationship? If the answer is no, then you already know what you need to do. Remember, walking away from something unhealthy isn't a loss, it's a gain. You're gaining your peace, your self-respect, and the space to welcome something much better into your life. And trust me, when you hold out for the right relationship, the one that makes you feel truly secure and appreciated, you'll be so glad you did. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more dating and relationship insights, and drop a comment below. What's the biggest red flag you've ever spotted? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.